Here we go. We're live, baby. Check your mic.
Check one.
Make it
check
louder.
two.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump t-shirts being sold over there. Donald effing Trump.
Donald fucking Trump, my hero.
He says it like it is.
Bitch, I'm the president.
You probably hear him. You don't need it. Check one. Glad the media's over here. Media everywhere. We're the media now. We're the media. You guys fathers? Where's fathers at? We got your dads out there?
Yeah.
It'd be nice if my dad showed up. Haven't seen him in a while.
I don't know. What happened to your dad?
I'm not here to talk about my dad. I'm here to talk about lots of dads, though. Tomorrow's Father's Day. Any dads out there?
Yeah.
Hey, where's my fathers at?
Right here.
Nobody here proud to be a father besides these two? I know they're proud to be dads. You proud to be a dad?
Woo. Yeah,
Can somebody tell me why 20 million American children are growing up absent their biological fathers in the United States of America? No? Well, you're right. I take that back. Education, yes. Why? Why are so many people living in poverty? Why are they living on welfare?
Immigrants are welfare.
I would agree with that. The government does like that.
Yeah, you study the socialist army system for how long? What's your rank?
I'm not here to talk about my rank or my service.
Talk about children without fathers.
I'm here to talk about 20 million. I'm not important. Your kids are just as important as my kids. You do not take care of my children.
We're a community, asshole. Go on about your
Name
life.
calling is encouraged. Just when you get it back from me, don't run. I will be just as respectful as you will be to me, sir. 20 million American children in this nation are currently growing up absent their biological fathers, primarily driven from 3 separate domestic policy issues that have been failing for over 40 years. The war on drugs is a failed policy. Welfare incentivizes single-parent homes. And the American Bar Association and every state bar association is operating a $50 billion a year industry that relegates fathers like myself to visitors. And the sad thing is after 20 years of protecting freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the media refuses to report about it. And I can't understand for the life of me why. And I'm not mad at these folks. These might be really good folks over here. What I'm mad about is that our nation has a divide. What I'm angry about is that I spent 20 years of military service supporting and defending the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. To then realize that the greatest domestic threats to my rights, to my children's rights, resided right here at home. You telling me that the Taliban has stripped away any of your rights, your Second Amendment rights? Have they infringed upon your due process? No, they haven't. We send our troops abroad. We swear an oath to support and defend the Constitution, but they don't even teach the Constitution to the military. How in the hell can you support and defend the Constitution against a domestic enemy if you're not even taught the Constitution? Why is it that I served this nation for 20 years and I have not seen my children for over 2 years? Over 2 years. Why is it that in this nation I have to spend over $75,000 fighting to be a father, fighting to prove my fitness?
Amen.
Yeah.
I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Going through it everywhere I go. And the media refuses to report. They walk away every single time. Why? We hear that the media is controlled all the time. We hear it. Controlled media. Have you ever stopped to wonder why there's so many attorney ads running on mainstream media? You ever drive in and out of Tulsa and wonder why there's so many attorney billboards up? Family law is a $50 billion a year industry that relegates fathers like myself to visitors to our children. They then demonize us. They try to paint a narrative that we're deadbeat fathers. Does a deadbeat father spend $75,000 asking for more time? Does a deadbeat father spend years in the law library in his county learning the law because he's out of money, but he's not out of hope, and he's still fighting to be a father in this country? But nobody wants to talk about the 20 million American children growing up absent their biological fathers. They don't want to talk about the domestic policy that drives it. They want to talk about white and black. They want to talk about Christian and Muslim and gay and straight. And none of those are issues in this nation. Not to good and decent folks.
Nope.
Good, decent folks don't care what your sexual orientation is.
Yep.
Good, decent folks don't give two cents about your religion. What they care about is you don't infringe upon their rights, their liberties. That's what they care about. And at the crux of it all is authoritarianism. It is authoritarianism from Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
It is both mainstream parties that are flooded with hundreds of millions of dollars every year purchasing their next legislator to enforce their belief system upon all of society.
Right.
Well, what about those of us who aren't Democrat? Who speaks for us? What about those of us who aren't Republicans? Who speaks for us? What about the half of this nation that says they're independent?
Yeah.
We're the majority. The majority are independents. We don't want to tell you how to live your life. I don't want to tell you you can't marry another man if you're a man. It's not my damn business.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I believe. It's irrelevant. So long as we don't hurt one another or their property.
Right.
These are simple value systems we're taught in school. At 5 years old, we're taught not to harm other people.
Don't hit, don't
or their
steal.
things. But we can't live by that. We live in a nation in which men like myself, we send them to war, we send them into combat, and with 22 veterans a day, and what's appalling is how many people walk by. They're indifferent. They're apathetic. Because they keep rolling by. Apathy is what's killing this nation. Those sirens prove it.
Yep.
Must be the president leaving.
You're louder.
And I would like for Donald Trump. I met Donald Trump in 2016. In 2016, I met the president in Wisconsin briefly at a Trump rally. I stood in line for over 6 hours because I wanted to know if he was going to protect my rights as a father. Because I was fighting to be a father to my children. Every major social issue Democrats and Republicans fight about can be traced back to the family unit. It can be traced back to fatherless homes. Why does the conservative base demonize the black community for fatherless homes? They use it as an insult, as a snide. It's a snide remark. Well, 70% of your community is growing up in a fatherless home.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. Never stop to ask themselves how the war on drugs perpetrated 40 years of removing fathers from the home, because fathers were made to be protectors and providers.
Right.
And when your community has very few economic opportunities, when in your community you've not received a good education, and all you want to do is provide for your offspring, sometimes you do things that you shouldn't do. Sometimes you sell drugs. But should we destroy our children in their futures, in the future of our society? If we want to reduce the high school dropout rate, I'm all for that. Let's reduce it. But let's talk about what's driving the high school dropout rate.
Talk about the root.
It's this sign. It's 20 million American children growing up absent their biological fathers. And there's a narrative being portrayed that we're all deadbeats.
Nope.
We're not deadbeats, we're beat dead.
Dead broke.
6 years I've spent in litigation, fighting for my right to be a dad. You tell me why that man carrying that child needs to spend $75,000 to go bankrupt fighting to be a father to that child. Why should his child exist in a world in which she's going to grow up, and if her father is driven out, she is more likely to drop out of high school. She is more likely to get pregnant as a teenager. She is more likely to have an abortion. She is more likely to abuse drugs. She is more likely to engage in violent crime.
Yeah.
That child, the unsuspecting child, who the father is carrying and protecting and providing for, it is that child who is losing. It is our society which is losing. And nobody is talking about the domestic policies that are driving it. It is not black versus white. It is not Christian versus Muslim.
No.
It is one man trying to subjugate his fellow man into his morals and his beliefs. But if I don't believe what you believe, how are you going to make me believe with a law? If you're a Muslim man and you want to push your faith, or you're a Christian man, or you're a gay man, or a straight man, or a white man, or a black man, how are you going to push your belief to me through legislation?
Right.
You can't do it.
It divides you.
It divides you. It creates animosity and angst and discord, and we fight amongst ourselves, and for what purpose, to what end? Look how our children are observing how we're behaving as adults.
Right.
They're observing us and watching us. But how can they be mentored and raised by their fathers, by their protectors and their providers, when they're driven out in this nation every single day and nobody bats an eyelash?
The rich get richer.
Millions of people will walk by, indifferent and apathetic, that I haven't seen my children in 2 years.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Appreciate you, sir. But what does my service mean if I can't leave from my service after 20 honorable years?
And be a dad.
I have my DD-214 in my pocket. You can look at my service. It speaks for itself. I've got letters from 3 presidents and 5 governors thanking me for my service. What an insult and a slap to my face if I can't be a father to my children.
Right.
How can I love this country and love this flag with all that I have when it's robbing me of everything that is important to me?
Exactly.
There are so many dads and moms that are being destroyed in this country. And the general public walks by, indifferent to their pain, indifferent to their suffering. You want to know why 40,000 men a year are committing suicide? You want to know why the demographic is middle-aged white men? It is primarily because they're being driven into bankruptcy. They're being driven into poverty. They're telling that you are not enough. You will never be enough. You can never make enough money for us to allow you your natural rights to parent your children how you see fit, absent state interference.
Right.
Why is the state involved in marriage at all?
Yeah.
Why do I need a license to marry the woman that I love?
So they can take your stuff.
Why do I need to ask their permission to engage in a relationship or enter into a contract with somebody that I love?
Right, man. Taxes.
That is not the state's responsibility.
No.
The state's responsibility is to protect your rights. The responsibility of Oklahoma is to protect your rights. I don't care if you smoke pot. That's your damn business.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's outside of Trump rallies. Hey,
More cocaine.
whatever you want to do, bud. That's on you. The point is,
Victimless crime.
as long as you're not hurting somebody, why are we asking our police to enforce these laws, infringing on people's natural rights to make choices for themselves? The overall killers in our nation is not marijuana, and I'm not here to advocate for marijuana.
Nope.
I'm here to advocate for your right to choose for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
To support and defend the Constitution
Yes.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But the greatest domestic threats, it's not overseas. It's not in Afghanistan. It's
Hey,
not
everybody.
in Iraq.
You guys like what you hear?
Imagine
Keep
if we
sharing
brought our
this.
troops
Share
home
this.
and they weren't
Let's
broken.
get thousands of
Imagine if
views
we
right
brought
now.
our
We're at
troops home
85.
and they
Keep
weren't
sharing
mentally and emotionally scarred. Imagine if instead everything that our troops learned, the trades that they learned, to be mechanics, to be electricians, to be plumbers. Imagine if they applied that to our communities.
Yeah. Instead of taking
Imagine
it.
if we took 1.3 million American citizens that serve this country, that put on this uniform. Imagine if we unleashed the force of good.
Right.
And not bombs in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
creating more terrorists. If you blew up my house with my wife and children, you created a terrorist.
Yeah.
I will seek out the man and I will destroy the person that destroyed my life and my family.
Yes, sir. Family court.
That is what family courts in this nation do. It is a $50 billion a year industry that is predicated upon conflict, driving conflict between mothers and fathers.
Men and women.
What kind of sense does it make? What kind of sense does it make in this country to fight for the right to be a parent? How is that not backwards? Some days I feel like I'm living in communist Russia.
You want to say hi to everybody?
Does anybody else see communism infiltrating our country? Am I the only one that sees communism infiltrating this nation? Have you ever taken a look
What's your name?
at the American Communist Party's website? Have you ever asked yourself, why does the American Communist Party's website line up with the progressive agenda? Why? This means I did my job.
Yeah.
And this means I did my job, and it means that my boss was good enough to recognize the work that I did. That's all that it means.
What they mean. What are they?
Why did I serve?
Yes.
When I went in the Navy at 17 years old, I served for my selfish self-interest. I went into the Navy at 17 years old because I came from an impoverished southern white community of poor trailer park trash.
Broken home.
And I'm tired, as many are tired, of being demonized for the color of our skin.
Yeah.
Why are you hating me? I would no more hate a man of Japanese descent for what happened in Pearl Harbor. So why would you hold something against me that transpired when I wasn't even conceived?
Yeah.
It is not our fault.
That's right.
It is division being driven in our country.
Keep us
I
fighting.
joined at 17 years old. Fathers damn sure deserve rights. Let me see some hands. How many fathers are out there right now? How many dads? I got 3 children, 3 hellraisers, all of them. They're like their father. I'm probably going to get my ass in trouble for being up on this corner right now.
Don't fall off.
In fact, I already had a National Guard officer out down there trying to give me some children around.
There's children.
There's kids around.
PG. Cash. PG.
When it gets past 9 p.m., the filter comes off. Oh, man, there's still a child sitting here.
He's listening.
So why?
He's listening hard.
How is it that our troops come home with wars and scars? Mental, physical, and they gotta fight to be dads to their kids.
Right.
How many dads tomorrow are gonna sit there on Father's Day and they're going to wonder when they're gonna see their children? When they're gonna speak to their children? I want somebody in any administration, in any office, in any party, to stand in front of me and debate me on why I cannot have equal rights to my child.
Right.
That it took me and the equality of myself and God's divine creation in me to make that child.
Yeah.
That is between me and my children and my Savior. That's it. It is not between me and government. If my relationship fails with the mother of my children, then the only
1,000.
purpose of
Keep sharing
government
this,
is
guys.
to
Let's keep
protect
blowing
my
up. Let's get
rights
2,000.
and her rights. They use best interests of the child.
It's extortion.
It's
Yeah.
extortion.
Legalized
If I went around and
kidnapping.
I asked you, every person here, tell me, what do you think is the best interest of the child? You tell me your definition. You tell
Equal.
me. If you were all judges, you would all have a different definition of what is the best interest of the child is. I know what the best interest of my child is. I know what hand my child writes with. I know what scares my daughter. I know what food my son doesn't like. I know. Your Honor, you do not know.
Right.
And you're
Right.
standing up there and you're judging me because I'm a man in this nation, and we have decided that men are less than in our society. Whether you're white, black, or otherwise, you are less than.
As a parent. Yeah.
You will never measure up in the eyes of the courts. The number on that board is undeniable.
Right. It's low.
20 million American children are growing up absent their biological fathers. The war on drugs systematically removed thousands and thousands of primarily black
You wanna see?
fathers. And I don't care if you like that number. I don't care.
Look at all the people
But I'm
watching.
indifferent to the fact
1.1
that they sold
thousand
drugs.
people
What
are
I'm
watching us
concerned
right
about is that they can rectify the wrong, they can
Tell
learn
them your
their
name.
lesson, and they can be available to mentor and raise their child the
Tell
right
your
way.
name. Say hi.
That's what I care about.
That's a lot of people. Don't hang up
22
though. Be
veterans a
careful.
day kill themselves. I'm going to share something personal. In
Get that in
2015, at about my 18-year mark in the Navy, I had given up all hope. My career was nearly destroyed
Jackson.
with false allegations that run rampant
His
in
YouTube
courts
or his Facebook right now.
where the evidentiary standard is only a preponderance.
You can start sharing things.
With only a preponderance, they can strip you of your children, they can strip you of your Second Amendment
Yeah,
rights,
because they just want to
they can
collect that
commit
money.
a Fourth Amendment seizure, they can come into your home and tell you, sir, you've been deemed a danger, and you say, I've been working and providing for my kids my whole life, why am I a threat? I've never had the police called on me.
Nope.
I don't have any convictions.
Right.
I've never hurt anybody.
Right.
I don't want to be thanked for my service. You know what I want? I want you to move to action.
Yeah.
I want you to not be apathetic to why I'm standing on here right now. I want you to take 2 minutes and stand there and listen to what I got to say.
Yeah.
Because if my service is worth you saying that you're thankful for it, and I appreciate you walking up, if you're thankful for my service, then surely to God you can look up here and go, I might want to hear what that man has to say. If you're going to thank me for my service, you might as well stop and listen to what I got to say.
Yeah.
Or else, what was the point of my service anyway?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm up here expressing my First Amendment right that I fought for 20 years. I'm still fighting for it.
He's live right now.
You can take your phones right now, and you can look up my case in Lake County, Illinois. 14D1411. Over 4 volumes. I spent over 2 years in a law library in Lake County after I retired, after 20 years of honorable service, to learn how to fight the system to be a father to my children. But while I was doing that, I was speaking out. I was doing what I'm doing now. And as a result, the judge sought to silence me. He sought to punish me. And when I asked him in his court, just shortly before I retired from the Navy, I'm standing in this uniform, in the courtroom. The stereotype, what everybody would believe would go, there's a clean-cut white male. He's had a top-secret clearance. He was a reserve sheriff's deputy in this county and volunteered hundreds of hours away from his family in our communities for free. But they don't do that. They don't stop to pause and ask themselves, how is it that a veteran who spent 20 years serving this country isn't seeing his kids? Surely there's something wrong with him. Surely he has PTSD. I already know it. I've seen the looks.
Yeah.
They judge me because of my military service and that I'm outspoken and I'm passionate. What is the most passionate thing in your life?
Being a parent.
Being a parent. Your child. Raising the child up in your ways, your morals, your principles.
Yeah.
But if you take somebody who served their country and you deny them the opportunity to raise their children, you are contributing to their PTSD.
Yeah.
You are contributing to their depression. What they need the most is their children.
Right.
They need their families. That is what's going to get them better. They're going to look at their child and they're going to go, I want to be a better man.
Then they tell you something's wrong with you because you're crying.
Because you're crying. If I shed tears in court, I'm emotionally unstable.
Right.
If I went to court right now in Lake County, Illinois, they want to lock me up. They've locked me up twice already. Why have they locked me up?
Fighting back.
They've locked me up because I'm fighting back. And then I have people dare to tell me, don't do it in your uniform. Don't protest in your uniform. Cash, don't do that. Do anything but wear your military uniform that you wore for 20 years fighting for my rights and my children's rights. You're not allowed to wear that uniform anymore, even at a protest. Why not? Why? The most precious thing to me is my children. Being driven out of my children's lives caused me to attempt suicide.
Yeah.
It caused me to attempt suicide.
They know it too.
The scar will never leave from my left wrist. It's a constant reminder of the pain and the anguish of not only my own case and my own plight to fight to be a father, But to the men and women that I continue to fight for in this country, who are only wanting their natural rights to be parents.
Yeah.
That's all that they're asking for. Just let me be a mom.
Yeah.
Just let me be a dad. Why are you bankrupting me? Over $12,000 for an attorney in Illinois representing the children, what's known as a guardian ad litem. And the only progress made in the case is 3 phone calls with my son. 3 phone calls for $12,000. And if you go to my page, Cash Jackson, I'm not here for self-promotion.
No.
I'm here for awareness. I'm here to fight for those who are so scared. They're intimidated by the judicial system. They're intimidated of being gagged. They're intimidated at the reprisals that they will suffer and that they will lose more time with their kids than they've already lost.
Right.
Who does that? Who holds children to silence somebody's voice? Who uses children to silence somebody's free speech? Who does that?
Yeah.
Terrorists
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
Cartels do that. The mafia does that. Our judicial system does that.
Yeah.
At this very juncture, I have every right to invert this American flag right now. I am well within my rights to invert this American flag in accordance with U.S. flag code because I am in distress and millions of Americans are in distress. Every major social issue they're talking about in these campaign rallies could be traced back to fathers being driven out of the home over the last 40 and 50 years.
Tell us what they are.
I'm going to tell you what they are. He knows. When a child grows up in a fatherless home, they are far more likely to drop out of high school. If they drop out of high school, they are far more likely to live in poverty. If they live in poverty, they're far more likely to live on welfare.
Drugs.
They're far more likely to abuse drugs. They're far more likely to commit violent crime. And everything we're talking about, Democrats are going after the Second Amendment that I swore to support and defend. Are they not? Does anybody disagree that right now Democrats are trying to take your Second Amendment rights? Anybody disagree with that sentiment? No?
No.
Good, because I don't disagree either. But what's at the crux of the argument? Violent crime.
Yeah.
We're addressing an inanimate object that has no choice, no say in the matter. We're addressing Veterans for Trump. I love that. We're addressing an inanimate object that can commit no ill will to another human being. But what stems the violence? Where does the violence come from in our cities and in our communities? It comes from pain. It comes from trauma. It comes from families. It comes from men and women that endured their own abuse. And for men, for decades, for fathers, for men, we were told, you can't talk about that.
Right.
Toxic masculinity, I'm no liberal, but toxic masculinity is a thing when we tell men, you can't speak about it.
You can't cry.
You can't talk about your pain.
You can't cry.
You can't talk about your suffering. You can't talk about your plight as a man. Because if you do, then you're weak.
Or sick.
You're weak. You're a snowflake. If you cannot express the pain that you're suffering, how then do you resolve the pain? If I can't plead my case to the public and say I'm hurting, I want to be a dad. I want equal rights to my children.
Yeah.
Republicans are all about small government. We're all about fiscal conservatism. If we're all about fiscal conservatism and reducing the size of government, then surely we could go, okay, let's just run it down real quick. We got 20 million American kids growing up absent a biological father. Let's think about it for a second. We've got... You're absolutely...
That too, yeah. Yep.
We're talking about good fathers. We're not talking about bad fathers. But she has a valid point. She believes this is a men versus women issue, and it's not.
That's how they get it.
Right.
Right. But
She needs to be up here telling her story.
You see how they
You're
get us
right.
to fight each other.
I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to inform you.
Men and
And
women
with
fighting
20
each
million,
other.
going back to what I was saying, 20 million American kids growing up absent their biological father.
Our
You're
kids
right, Black
deserve
Lives
better.
Matter. I want y'all to stick around and listen. You're damn right, all lives matter. Neither phrase is a... Hey, wait. You see how they fight?
Yeah.
I'm asking your respect to not fight here.
No
Fight
need
somewhere else.
to fight.
Hey, let me finish what I got to say. Let me speak. I got the mic. I brought the mic. So I get to talk on the mic. 20 million American children are growing up absent their biological fathers. And Republicans say they want to reduce government. They're not showing it to me. They're not showing it because if you did, you would go, let's let dads play an equal role when the relationship breaks down. If the relationship breaks down, if this is a father and a mother and their children, that father should have equal rights to those children.
Right.
He's helped to provide. He helped to make those children.
Right.
Those children deserve equal access to their father.
And mother.
They should not be driven out from their father's life. Black lives do matter. All lives do matter. These are divisive phrases meant to divide you so that you don't sit down and have a beer and break bread together.
Right.
I will sit down with any man while in the convenience store, walk to the convenience store a few blocks over, a black man says to me, hey, I appreciate your service, sir. Let me buy your guys' drinks. Thank you.
Yeah.
We go outside and talk. Joseph is his name. I talk to Joseph. Joseph works in the manufacturing industry here. And I tell him why I'm here. I'm here just to stand on a street corner and say, I want to be a dad. I'm here to say, there's millions of fathers across this country that want to be dads. But there's no protections for them. Don't tell me to go to court when I've already spent $75,000 fighting to be a dad. I'm going into a dead-end road filled with rattlesnakes that all I want to do is take my money.
Yeah.
That money is intended for my children.
Right.
That money was intended so I could buy a home.
Not to pay for welfare.
It wasn't to pay for welfare. It wasn't to subsidize the mother's living who makes $100,000 a year. You know what I'm told? I don't want to pay child support.
Right.
Let me say that. I don't want to pay child support. Men should not have to pay child support.
We want to be dads.
We want to be dads.
Right.
Sir.
The child support isn't the transference of money from the father to the mother. If you want to know who the deadbeat is, you point at him and you say, sir, will you play an equal role in raising your kids?
Right.
And if that dad or that mom dances around the issue and goes, I ain't really got time for that, there's your deadbeat.
Right.
But if you ask that mother or that father, do you want to play an equal role in raising their kids? You know what they're going to do? Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Yes.
Okay, you're not going to pay child support. She's not going to pay child support. The support comes from you being there to raise your kids.
Right. The relationship's over, it's over.
I can't understand why Democrats and Republicans can't do simple math.
Right.
Now, I come from Louisiana, and we're rated the worst in the nation for education. I come from Louisiana, and we have the worst education in the nation. Yet, I've got enough common damn sense, and I can use my fingers and toes, and I can go, you know what? If there's a two-parent household, both parents are working, I know that they'll see, that's what I'm talking about. He won't talk about the issue.
Yeah. Because
They
he
don't
earned
really
it.
talk about the issue. They get concerned with this.
He earned the uniform.
Going back to simple math for some who don't get it.
Yeah.
If both parents are working, and then the home splits, the money is now going to be spread across two households.
Right.
Where before, there was only one mortgage or one rent, now there's two.
Right.
Yeah, what if your ex-husband cheats on you?
It's not a reason to keep their children from
Right.
them.
Right.
It is. It hurts you.
It does. Right.
It would hurt you. And see, and then you're,
I moved here from California.
but then you're choosing, no, I want you to have your turn.
Yeah.
But then you're choosing to hurt him using those children, and it's
Right.
not their fault, ma'am.
Right.
I moved here
To,
for him.
oh, for him.
From California.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He moved my children here, and I moved here, and I don't know fucking nobody.
So are you trying to get involved in your kids' lives? Is that what you're saying? That you're trying to see your children? You moved here for your kids. Okay, perfect. What's your name? Tiara. It's a very pretty name. How long has it been since you've seen your children?
Like
2 days. I haven't seen my children in over 2 years.
Yeah. Imagine what that feels like.
It's beyond sad.
Fuck my baby.
It goes beyond sad. Because the 40,000 a year suicides can be largely attributed to men going through family court. Women attempt suicide at far greater rates
Got a
than
couple
men.
viewers.
We can agree to that, right?
We know people. You want to say hi? And record you? No?
I fly out of the airport nearly every month and flip off the sign, and I'm not dead yet. So,
Cash Jackson.
Cash Jackson with a
Cash
K.
Jackson with a K.
But you should be equally involved in raising your kids.
Right. Period.
Yeah. You're amazing.
Well, that's great.
You're amazing,
That's
and you should
great.
be celebrated for that. Because you put your kids first.
Boys and
And we
girls.
thank you for that. And so when we go knocking women, we're not knocking all women.
No.
Right?
Or men.
We're not. When I knock on men, I'm not knocking on all men. I'm knocking on the bad men and the bad women.
Right.
But primarily I'm here knocking on the system that is not allowing us to be parents to our children.
They want us
that
to
is
fight.
profiting
They
$50
want us to
billion
fight.
a year and using my children
all
for that
good.
profit system.
It should be equal.
It should be equal. So why haven't any Republicans or Democrats proposed that constitutional amendment? Why?
They're making too much money off
Why
it.
is this not a mainstream issue? When I know I've had more than 10 friends commit suicide. More than 10. I stopped counting my friends' suicides at 10. So you might want to consider whether or not you want to be friends with me. But it's not. A large portion of that is the society in which we're in. And most of them are men. The majority of those who commit suicide are fathers.
Mhm.
They're men who are hurting, and they're tired of hurting, and the world's not listening to them.
Those laws
And it
were
would
made
drive
when
me to
most
the
women
extreme.
didn't work. Most women didn't work when those laws
Yeah,
were
because
made.
girls are
That's
awful.
correct.
They're both working.
No, that's not what
So
he's
the kids
saying.
can have
Well,
both.
I'm
He's-
saying girls are awful.
He's
No,
saying
the
that
laws
the
exist.
system
Because
gets
the
men and women
kids
to
used to
fight
stay home
so
with
that
the mom,
they make
and
money.
the dad would go off to
Right.
work.
It stemmed out of the tender years doctrine. It did. It evolved out of the tender years doctrine where we believed
Need to evolve.
that moms were better caretakers. But now that they know that. They know that.
Right. Right.
Now it is only about money.
Right.
It is money. Because in these fatherless homes, again, they're more likely to drop out of high school and live on welfare and be in poverty and commit violent crime.
Right.
And we're kicking at Democrats, we're kicking at Republicans and going, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault.
Right.
And nobody's talking about the domestic policy that's driving it. Nobody.
They keep us divided.
And
They
that's
keep
what
us-
I'm trying to do. I may or may not vote for Donald Trump.
I hate Trump.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not going to hate the man. He's never really harmed me, so I'm not going to hate him.
I hate him.
I'm going to look at his policies and I'm going to go, you know what, Donald Trump? When you signed right to try for untested prescription drugs, when you signed right to try, that was a good thing, sir. You did a good thing there. You opened up the doorway and the opportunity for people who otherwise wouldn't get those drugs to now that they can get them. That is bodily autonomy, and you should be able to have that. You should be able to raise your children unimpeded from the state overreach.
Right.
But we don't have that, do we? They want to nitpick and decide what you can do with your kids and how you can raise your
You
kids.
shouldn't
Right.
have to pay money to see your kid.
Never.
True.
Why would
Right.
we ever have to pay money to see our children? They are literally taking our children from us and selling them back a little at a time.
Right.
$12,000 in my case for the guardian ad litem assigned to my children as their representative. And the best progress she can make is 3 phone calls with my children
Right.
that I haven't
That's a
seen.
bitch.
She is. You can say that as loud as she wants. She is.
That sucks.
They are profiteering and they are transferring all of our work. They are transferring our hard work, our labor, and our sacrifices to them. They're dragging out litigation unnecessarily. They're treating predominantly fathers, but mothers as well.
Yeah.
Moms are stereotyped. If a mom goes to the family court and she doesn't get custody, what do we say?
Something's wrong with her.
Something's wrong with her.
Right.
She's wild.
Yeah.
She's broken.
She's wild.
Whatever.
She's psycho.
Whatever excuses they gotta
She
use.
is assigned the stereotype because in society we are conditioned to believe that if you go through a divorce and a custody proceeding, mom gets custody, dad gets every other weekend, pays child support.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Now, why is that a national standard, yet it's not ingrained in any law? But yet, those are the decisions being rendered by judges every single day.
Because the
It is
state,
very few and far in between that they award equal custody.
the state makes money.
If I say I want to do half the work, let me raise my kids. I'm saying I want to change damn dirty diapers.
Yeah.
I'm saying
I do it.
I want to get up in the middle of the night and help my child when they throw up.
Yeah.
I'm saying I want to take my son to football practice. I'm saying I want to teach my children to fish and hunt in the camp. I'm saying I just want to be a dad.
Right.
That's it.
Good for you, brother.
I want to be a father. And tomorrow's Father's Day. What do? Instead of looking forward to a moment that I'm going to see my kids, I'm going to go another Father's Day without seeing my children, without speaking to my children.
What a bitch.
I can't blame her.
Dedication.
Let me say, number one, it's the mother of my children. And as much as she angers me, they love her. And that is the mother of my children. And I am very hurt by what she's put me through. She's probably very hurt by what I put her through. But that is not our children's fault. That she made mistakes and I made mistakes. It's not their fault.
What you do, Daniel?
They should not be punished.
What you do, Daniel? Here downtown. What you do?
I think we're probably done here tonight. Hey, thanks for sticking around.
We got 1,000 people watching.
My name is Cash Jackson. If you guys would look me up.
Cash
Want me to
Jackson.
stay going?
Yeah, we are.
You got 1,000 people watching.
No, I don't.
Yes.
Many states, it was on the Texas legislature this year, but it didn't pass.
Look at how much money Texas collects in child support. Okay, we're not talking about. They always try and bring it back to he don't want to pay child support, right? If I say I want equal custody, the rebuttal is you don't want to pay child support.
Right.
Now hold on a second. You've already said to me it costs money to raise the child, right? You said that to me. I agree with you. It costs money to raise my children. But when you're telling me I got to transfer 40% or 45% of what I make to the mother who's making $100,000 a year,
Yeah.
and now I can't pay my rent, I can't pay my utilities,
Can't afford to have the kids.
I can't afford to even have my kids. They go, you know what they say? Well, if you can't afford it, work 2 jobs.
Work 2 jobs.
Work 3 jobs.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do to pay that child support,
Right.
sir.
Yeah.
Why in the world do we live in a society in which we want people to work more
Right.
and spend more time away from their
Because
kids?
they make money.
If we had equal time with our kids, there's no need for child support.
Right.
It would be rare. If the mom was a stay-at-home mom and she'd been out of the workforce for 10, 15 years, okay, I can see that. Let's do child support, maybe, or alimony or spouse support for a couple years at best.
Yeah.
Let her get an associate's degree.
Right.
Let her get on, learn a trade. Let her get on with her life. Let her go through some entrepreneur classes. Let her be the mom she needs to be now because the relationship is different.
They should be helping parents.
But if I split ways with my wife because we just didn't work out for whatever reasons, if we split ways, I had a job, she had a job, but we only had one home. But now I have to get another home in suitable size and safety for my kids. I've got I've got 3 children. My oldest is 19. He's in the NASCAR Institute.
And you got to keep paying for her house.
Right, but my younger 2 are 14 and 12. Okay, so I need a home suitable in size, right? I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. If I'm living over in a really bad part of the city, in a very unsafe community, the argument then is going to be it's not safe, it's not suitable in size.
Right.
So now they justify you can't have them because you can't afford it. They are literally determining your worth to be a father and his children based upon what you can give to the mother. And it's not what we give to the mothers that's important. It's what we give to the children, that's important.
Right.
And if we have the equal access in every single state in this nation, imagine, if you will, that we're no longer talking about deadbeat dads. We're talking about a far lower number, because if you give a dad the opportunity to be a dad, and if he's a good dad, he's going to step up to the plate.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to go, yeah, I'm going to provide for my kids. I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to be a good dad. I love my kids.
Yep.
I'm going to make mistakes along the way, so bear with me, because these kids didn't come out of their mother with any type of directions. And I'm going to figure it out the best way that I can. But if you give me the opportunity,
Just like mom does.
just like mom does.
Just like mom does.
Mom's got to struggle. Mom's got to go through all the pain and suffering
Yeah.
of children puking on her, and pulling her hair,
Yeah.
and telling her no a million times.
Yeah.
Mom's got to endure that. But you know what? There's some crazy dads like me, and they want that too.
Yeah.
I want my child to be there so that I can mentor them, so that I can raise them, so that I can pass on my own value system to my children.
Yeah.
But how can I do that when in this nation we can justify keeping a parent from their child for years at a time?
I spent a lot on my phone.
2 years I have not seen my children.
Plus, it's brighter right now.
And the nation is
Are you doing a video
apathetic.
today?
Yeah, this is live. There's 1,000.
If I say it to a pool of Democrats, you know what they say to me?
You want to say hi?
They see a sign. If you go to my Twitter page, Cash Jackson with a K,
My
if you
name's
go over there,
Carol Fleming.
you'll see
Carol, do you
a post
support
there,
equal shared parenting?
and there's a
Yes.
sign there with me
We do too. We're
praying to
dads.
Donald
We're
Trump.
being extorted in family courts.
Donald
And-
Trump. Donald Trump, I'm playing. Would you please
Go ahead.
help me? I just want to
Thank
be a
you.
guy.
Thank you for this.
And
Thank
you know what they
you.
tell me?
Bless you.
Thank
You
you,
deserve
Carol.
what happened to you. You deserve to not
Carol
be a
Fleming
father because you support
supports equal
Trump.
shared parenting.
I support the commander-in-chief because he's my commander-in-chief. I supported Barack Obama because he was my commander-in-chief. I supported George Bush because he was my commander-in-chief. And they may do a lot of policy issues that I disagree with. And they do.
Yeah.
And I will voice them respectfully. I will tell Donald Trump when I don't agree with him. I will say, sir, no, I don't think that you should ban bump stocks because bump stocks not the problem. We got matters of the heart that we're not talking about.
Yeah.
We got people hurting in this country that we're not talking to. We're not sitting down and having a real conversation or in a street corner with our fellow man.
Right.
I ran for governor in 2018 in the state of Illinois as a libertarian. I raised $25,000 because I suck at asking people for money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we want people that suck at asking other people for their money to be in office?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Why? I don't want your money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not Republican or Democrat. But why should they spend their time raising money to go into office? Because their money's coming from larger interests. It's not coming from yours. No matter how much you hate Trump or I hate Biden, it's not coming from them. Their interest lies.
Family court laws that need to change.
Yeah.
They keep kids from their fathers.
They do.
We just need to get rid of family court.
My wife got one, I got one.
See? And why?
Why? Why?
It's not that we don't want to support our kids. We want to support
daughter
our kids while they're with us.
Well, they're with us. That's correct.
So she,
We don't want to just give them
so she was older and
never see our kids.
That's it.
so she was acting like a teenager pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
Being
it.
rebellious.
Nobody's saying they don't want to pay
Had
child
nothing to do with
support.
you, really. But,
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, if you send me mom,
I'm sorry.
You wanna say
They're
hi
not,
on the-
I'm sorry.
Is that cool?
Let me
You
correct
want-
myself. People are not
What's
saying
your
they don't
name?
want to support
Hi, my
their
name's
kids.
Mark.
Hey, this is Mark. You support equal shared parenting, don't you?
What's that?
You support
Right.
equal shared parenting, right?
Pretty much
And you
not
know what
that.
that'll do?
Well,
That'll strengthen
you believe that a
child.
father and
Oh,
a
yeah.
mother
It'll
should
make
have
them
equal
resilient.
access without
Have
fighting
their
in court.
father
Right,
involved.
absolutely. Now, sometimes there's bad parents.
Well, yeah.
But that can't be determined by the court until there's actually a reason,
Exactly.
not just
I
to
agree.
extort child
Yes,
support.
ma'am, I do.
Right.
And you're right.
And typically, dads are given the short end of the stick.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we have to spend the money on the lawyers and the child
And
support.
the child,
They need both, don't they? Yes, ma'am, they do. It has to.
And they really don't pay attention to the child's
I'm gonna stop on
No, it's about
motorcycle
money,
goes by.
and it's about
We hold this for me.
federal
Would you hold
funding.
it?
Yeah.
Just don't let it touch the
My
ground,
wife
please.
now, she paid our guard.
I might have a heart attack and fall off
her
here.
two boys.
And then my buddy Chris have to give me
$3,000
CPR on a live
when we
feed.
saw him
That would
one
be
time.
embarrassing.
Yeah,
One time.
doesn't make any sense.
And he was only like 4 years
Hey, I
old.
appreciate you out here taking photos. I don't know who you're with, but
You know,
whether you're with a mainstream media or independent,
Yeah,
I just hope that you're honest and you're transparent and you put it all out there and let people make up their own mind.
definitely about that.
Yeah,
Because we don't have that anymore.
because we get shamed as men to think that we're not allowed to hurt.
My youngest now is 16.
Yeah.
And
700?
she's- and I live a mile
Okay,
from
let me
her.
get another drink because I've been talking for a
All the
while.
time, so.
Who are you, sir? What's your name?
Yeah.
Team Trump
Yeah, she's
Press. I
older.
like that.
She's doing her
Yeah,
own
she
thing.
does her own thing now, so.
Anthony, what brings you out here tonight, Anthony? Okay, are you a father?
Yes.
You're a father. How many kids? One child. Okay.
Anthony, can I film you too?
May I ask you a personal question about that? Are you a full-time dad? Are you there? Are they in the home with you and the mom all the time? Or are you like many dads and every other weekend kind of? Everybody that walks by, I get them. Everywhere I go. A few days ago, I was in Houston in the airport and eating some ice cream. It's a funny story. You got to watch the video. I'm not going to tell it. Eating some ice cream, I talked to 3 police officers. 3 African-American police officers. Of the 3, 2 of the 3 had been through family court. And when I brought up this issue, it evoked a tremendous amount of emotion from those men.
Yeah.
Especially one. He really stood out to me. And I took a photo with him. It's on my page. I'm sitting out here today in this uniform because I'm a retired service member. I retired out of the Navy. For those who are going to go, stolen valor, I got my DD-214 in my pocket for the crazies. Were you in the military? All right. I figured you could.
Just by the way the ribbons are aligned, I can tell.
Right, he knew, right? And I knew that he knew. He probably would have yelled at me like the other guy did. I got that gate line straight down. Hey, at 42, it's trying to push its way sideways. Bad boss trying to catch me.
Gate line straight, sitting down.
Sitting down. That's because I push boots. Right? I train the uniform. But I came out here to Tulsa today from Arkansas to fight for parents.
Yeah.
I came out here to fight for children. I want you to take a look with your live feed. How many you got on there, you said?
700.
700. Look down there.
We're killing it. We were up to 1.1.
There it is.
Yep, it's called Beyond These Walls podcast. It's just now starting. But I'm not here for self-promotion. Okay, I'm out here to talk about an issue. But thank you for asking.
No, we want to share it.
I hope you guys do share it. So there you go. 20 million American children growing up in this country absent their biological father.
More.
Probably more.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with 20 million just because it's a big, even number. I almost said big, round, even. 20 million American kids growing up in this nation absent their biological father. I stood in line at a Trump rally in 2016. I got interviewed by InfoWars. Was very, very passionate in that interview because I said in that interview, I don't think that Donald Trump's the man for the job. Hold on, let me talk. See, he's not even letting me talk.
Yeah.
What if I said I'm going to vote for him in 2020? You don't even know because he's taking off on a scooter. That's a cool scooter, by the way. But in 2016, I went there to plead my case. And I know some people are going, it's in a rally. He's not going to be able to get to you. He's not going to be able to help you. He's running for president. I know that. I know that. But as a father who is hurting, I'm doing everything in my power.
You're going to try.
I'm going bankrupt fighting to be a dad, and I'm going to do everything I can, including going to a Trump rally.
Yeah.
I said I didn't think Donald Trump was the man for the job. And one of the primary drivers behind my thought process was our nation is broken and it needs to be healed. But I will admit something. I will admit that I appreciate that Donald Trump has exposed a lot of corruption and fraud in this nation. On both sides of the aisle. I am man enough to say that he has done great things. My friend Shane Bouvet in the state of Illinois, good buddy of mine, another father fighting to be a dad. Donald Trump paid for my friend Shane Bouvet for his father's cancer treatment. His father's an Army veteran. Donald Trump gave them $10,000 or $15,000 and paid for his father's cancer treatments. His father, his cancer has been in remission, and I was just up there a few weeks ago hanging out with him. And it's hard to say for somebody that looks at Donald Trump, they go, I hate the man, and I feel her passion and other people's passion that they hate the president. And I get it.
They're hurting.
I get it. They're hurting. People are hurting. On both sides of the political aisle, they are hurting. And they're wanting somebody to listen to them. But people are not listening because we're being divided.
Yeah.
We're being divided by the mainstream media in this narrative that my skin color matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My sex doesn't matter. I'm told you have white fragility. You have white privilege. You can't possibly know, man flag, or I'll have a stroke.
You want me to hold it?
But when I'm told those things, it's denying me my humanity to say that I can't hurt, or that my hurt or my pain is less than another person's. I haven't seen my children in over 2 years. 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And we hear this about PTSD. We hear about them coming back from combat and being wounded. But we never talk about the most important thing to them. Why are they fighting? Why do they believe they're fighting? For their family.
I'm going to videotape your live feed.
Solid, bro.
Yeah, man. They
What's your name?
they blame them for
Kyle
what they
Gray.
do instead of
Take it,
asking
brother.
why they do it. Yeah.
I want you to say that to these cameras right now, please. Say that.
What's your name, man?
Kyle Gregg.
Kyle Gregg?
Yeah.
Tell us, go ahead and tell us what happened.
We got back from a deployment thing in Afghanistan right about 9 months ago, and since then we've lost 3 friends due to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the military, the system's not set up for you as a father.
Nope. Right.
Which is not. You can be deployed, you're gone, so you thinking you're going to get 50-50 custody just ain't going to happen.
Right. You can fight for your country, but you can't be a dad.
And that's the way it feels.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man.
Just a few days ago, I spoke with, I believe he was Army Airborne. The man's in Colorado. He messaged me pleading for help. Because they see my activism. They see that I'm outspoken. They see that there's 1,000 or 1,200 people watching a live feed and me discuss these issues, and they believe that I can help them.
Yeah.
And they fail to realize that I stood in court in this uniform and pled my case and said, I want to be a dad. I've been apart from my children for 3 years because of my military service. I didn't ask, if I could have prevented me going to Washington State and doing an arduous tour and spending more time with my kids, I would have done that. But I was committed to my contract in the military. It was either go to prison, because I'm going to tell the military, no, I'm not going. So it's either my choices are go to prison or be apart from my kids. And every single day, it hurt. And another day, and another day, and another day. And then when I stood in court and I said, I want to be a dad, and the judge says, no, you get every other weekend. That's not being a father, that's being a visitor.
Right.
I don't want to be a Disneyland dad. I don't want to just take them out every other weekend.
You can die for your country, you can't live for your kids.
I can die for my country, but I can't live for my children. And these veterans, every day, just like this fellow said, I'm telling you, I can't go on a street corner in the United States and not talk about this issue and not find somebody who's going to go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. There is no place in this nation that I cannot go. And this isn't just in America. This is global. I get messages every week from the United Kingdom. I get them from Canada.
Australia.
I get them from Australia and New Zealand. Primarily from fathers, but from moms too. And people go, Dad, or Cash is just a father's rights activist. No, I'm not. I do volunteer for the father's rights movement. I am their VP of public advocacy. And so what do? I don't know. I turned wrenches for a living. I didn't know what the hell public advocacy meant. So all I know is to go out to the world and share what I know to be true.
Where can we find you? People are asking where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. Most of my work and my activism I do through my Facebook account.
We'll share it with you when we.
And this is the most. Here's what. If I could talk to Donald Trump right now, if I could look Donald Trump in the eye, I would say, sir, I came to you in 2016. I'm looking at his too.
Oh, shoot.
Stand back there. You guys get them together. You're going to go cross-eyed. If I could talk to Donald Trump right now, because I got here late, I couldn't get in the rally, but if I could talk to him, I would say, sir, I came to you in 2016. I shook your hand, and when he looked me in the eye, I've learned a lot about men in my 42 years on this earth, especially...
You're 42?
I'm 42.
Okay, where can they reach you, though? Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me right here, right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish.
I gotta head out, brother.
Oh, you gotta go.
Nice to meet you, my man. Take care of yourself.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, look
Cash
up
Jackson
Cash Jackson with a K.
Cash with a K.
Cash with a K.
Okay.
Jackson.
Oh, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, brother.
Yes, he giving all the girls away.
But if I could look, I'll just talk to this one phone. If I could look Donald Trump in the eye and sit down with him, I would say, sir, I came to you in 2016 because I was pleading to see my children. I was pleading for my rights to be a father to my kids.
Fuck that bitch. Alright.
Hold it.
We're talking about Donald Trump right now.
But Donald Trump shook my hand. He shook my hand and he said, send me your information. Now I know the likelihood of me getting any information to somebody running for president, especially Donald Trump, is slim to none. I did the same thing with Mike Pence. Mike Pence might remember me. He remembered me when I went to the second rally that only Mike Pence was at in Wisconsin in 2016. And I shook Mike Pence's hand and I reminded him, Mike, you made me a promise, bud. Your son flies helicopters. You made me a promise. You told me that you care. And I believed him. And I believe that he's a busy man. But I don't need to sit down in front of Donald Trump right now. Maybe this will make it to Donald Trump. I don't know.
We'll tag him.
But the fatherless effect in this nation is driving every systemic issue that we are debating. It is driving the high school dropout rate. If we want to improve education, then let dads have equal custody in trying to raise their kids. We're not saying that's mandatory. We're not saying that that would fit in every single case. We're saying it's a rebuttable presumption that they're both presumed equal in the eyes of the court, and that with at least a clear and convincing standard, if not beyond a reasonable doubt standard, that before you strip the time away from that father, that you would use a high evidentiary standard to go, yeah, Dad, you're an abuser. You need serious psychological treatment, or you're an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
If they have some serious evidence to present in court to justify that decision, okay. Put it in writing, ingrain it in writing so that everybody understands. Because nobody understands best interests of the child.
And work towards healing parents instead of ruining them.
Healing parents. How can you heal parents when you use children to pit a mother against a father?
Well, she's a bitch, like I said.
Maybe she's damaged.
Yeah, maybe she's broken.
Maybe
she didn't have a dad.
Maybe her.
Listen, my ex-husband cheated on me, and I still moved here so that my kids could have a dad. So she's a bitch.
And hopefully you. And I'm not denying that the actions are not those of somebody that would deserve that label. What I'm saying is that hurt people hurt other people.
Right.
Okay? Generational trauma exists.
We need to stop attacking each other.
This is undeniable. Generational trauma in our society exists because we know what it looks like in our Native American communities. We know what it looks like in our black communities. Why? If we rewound the clock, let's just go back to the beginning of when Europeans settled on this continent. Let's just go all the way back.
I'm Turkey Indian, so yeah.
Okay, well, I hope some of this resonates with you.
I'm great too. I have a card.
So let's go all the way back.
We all got
Why did those people leave England to begin with? Why did they leave?
Because it sucked. Oppression.
Because it sucked.
Oppression.
Because of oppression. They left England because of oppression. They left England because if you didn't obey the crown, if you sat up here in England, okay, in 1492, if I would have sat up here in England and said, that king's an idiot. He is a moron. What's going to happen to me?
You're gonna get executed.
Die. Off with his head. That's what would have happened. They fled oppression. But what they brought with them, they brought their own pain. They brought their own suffering. They brought their own baggage to these lands. And because the way we work as human beings, we look at somebody else who's different from us, or they have a different culture, or they're raised differently, and we go, they're not like me.
Right.
So I gotta judge them.
I gotta hate them.
I gotta tell them they can't do that.
Right.
And then I gotta hate them.
Right.
And then I gotta drive them out because I don't want them in my neighborhood. I don't want them in my community. And we gotta pit man against man. It is men who seek to control other men. And this is what was true in England. It was men seeking to control other men and how they wanted to live their lives that spawned authoritarianism in our nation. It came from England. It came with them. It was what they knew. Common law came to America because it's what they knew. And that law is what has afflicted us as a people. It has driven wedges between men and women in our society. I can break bread with a man I disagree with. I can break bread with a man that doesn't share my faith. I can break bread with a man who comes from a different country. I can break bread with a man who has a different sexual orientation. I can break bread with any person as long as they're kind and they're civil. And we can discuss our lives. And maybe we don't share the same traits. Maybe we're not going to hang out on Saturdays and shoot pool and drink beer.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I love drinking beer. I'll have a beer.
Do you have a snap?
No, I have no.
Snapchat?
No. I love Snapchat. I'm 42. No, I don't snap.
Snap.
Here. There's my. I'm snapping and we're chatting right now.
Where's the Instagram?
Hey,
I want to know you.
this is Snapchat. But it was authoritarianism, and it was their pain that they brought with them. What happened in our Native American communities should resonate with us. I've been out to some of the Native American reservations. I went out to Standing Rock, North Dakota, and stood with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. Why? People go, you're a liberal. Whatever name they want to label me with. But they never go, hey, we heard you went out there to defend that Constitution.
Do you have Instagram?
I do.
Oh, what's your name?
I like it. I like it.
I really like it.
Can I do it when I'm done? Cash with a K. Cash Jackson. I'm over here. I'm talking.
She's holding your flag for like 10 hours.
I appreciate her. She's amazing. That sign down there primarily, but I'm getting into some other
equal
topics.
shared parenting.
What do you stand for?
Men and women having equal rights in family courts and not breaking up families
We should
to.
be listening to him because
What do you mean?
You don't have to listen to
just
me.
in general.
Well, we've been listening all day, and then the crowd moved that way. But he's been talking for
That's
over an
what I'm
hour.
talking about.
But it was full here. I don't know, probably 20 minutes ago. Yeah, he had about 40 people standing right here. And then I guess whatever's going on down there, everybody's doing that. So.
That's what he's talking about.